Whether you're looking for answers to specific life questions or seeking to become the best version of you possible, welcome to the Mental Breakdown and Psychreg podcast, where we offer insight, information, and strategies based upon research and years of practice as clinical psychologists. So sit back, have a listen, and get connected with our hosts, Dr. Berney Wilkinson and Dr. Richard Marshall. Welcome back. Richard, we're going to continue talking about kids today and technology today.
Kids and technology. We talked about this earlier in the week, didn't we?
Yes. Mm-hmm. But today we're going to talk about it a little bit differently because this guy, Dr. Jim Taylor, wrote a piece in Psychology Today called Technology, Parenting, iPhone, and High-Tech Child Abuse. There's a lot of colons in that title. It's Technology, Parenting, colon, iPhone, colon, High-Tech Child Abuse.
I think the title should be iPhone, colon, High-Tech Child Abuse.
Yeah, that might be.
So when I saw this, I thought, I think technology parenting is the category.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what it's about is, but let's stop with high-tech child abuse.
Right.
Okay, what does he mean by that?
It's very interesting. He's talking about he is seeing our tendency as parents to, entertain, to sort of use technology as a form of child management.
That's right.
As a babysitter or as a way just to keep kids calm and under
keep
control.
Them quiet.
Right.
Yeah, it goes along years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When you were but a child,
mm-hmm.
we used to write articles about TV as babysitter.
Right.
We were concerned about TV, and parents would put their kids in front of the TV, and TV would act as a babysitter,
right.
so that parents could get the meal prepared or
right.
their chores done.
Right. And now we're doing the same thing about iPhones and technology.
Right. And now we have, TV as babysitter had to be done in one room.
Right.
Now we have all this technology,
mm-hmm.
and it's portable.
Yeah.
And we can do it everywhere all the time.
Right.
That's what he's concerned about.
Right. So he talks about several consequences
mm-hmm.
of using technology as a babysitter.
Right.
I think they're pretty good.
I really like them. He gives this whole introduction about toys. He talks about toys. When I was little, we had no toys. You always tease me about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Your toy was the plow. Get out there and go play with your toy.
We had, he goes back to the caves, right? So you can imagine these kids, they give them a bone or something to hit each other with. And so he goes back to that. And then he talks about wooden toys. When I was in Poland in the 80s, they had no electric toys. They were all wooden toys. They were made by these little craftsmen. Mm-hmm. But they were all wooden. They would do things. They would move around. You'd have to pull strings and things. And that's the way toys were in this country.
Mm-hmm.
People still collect those. And then with the introduction of electricity, we had electric toys. And then came electronic toys. And somebody was telling me the other day about, they bought an electronic dog for one of their kids one year for Christmas, and it would do things, And so with each advance, the toys become more entertaining. Why are you smiling?
I don't know. I was thinking about
the history of toys.
You're like,
that I lived through it.
With the invention of electricity, then we had electric toys.
Right.
That's just funny.
Well, there was a time when we didn't.
Oh, I understand. It's just funny. I'm just smiling.
Okay.
I'm so happy.
Here's the deal. So you have these little cars, and before we had all these battery-operated things, you
had to manually push them.
Or you had
Stupid Matchbox
cars. You had to wind up the things, do the back and then let them go. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That
now you can you have these little remote controls, and they'll go 100 miles an hour down the street.
Newfangled
things.
Newfangled remote control cars.
Right.
It's like magic.
And so with each...
How do they move? How do they know what direction to go?
That's right. How you going to get that boat back, son? I use this little remote. So, so with each advance, the toys became capable of doing so much more.
Right.
Until finally, we're now to a point where we have these digital devices that can keep a child. They're designed to keep you engaged for long, long periods.
Right.
How many times are you going to... those little paddle boards with the ball?
Mm-hmm.
You'll do it for a while, or you'll do it for a while, but then you say, okay, I get bored with this.
Then you start hitting others with it. And that's when the fun really starts.
Or they break, like those balsa wood airplanes,
Oh, yeah.
You
that's
play with them for a while. And yeah, right. And then, but video games are designed to be endlessly entertaining.
Right.
They'll engage you for hours and days and weeks and months.
which sort of gets us to the first consequence that he talks about, which is the idea of addiction.
That's right.
And I don't like using the word addiction.
I do.
You do?
I do. I'm ready to.
I don't.
I wrote an article about it the other day.
Did you?
I read it. Did you get that music?
I did.
Did you post it?
No.
Ah, you didn't?
Not yet.
It's going to be stale by the time you post it.
No, I did. I haven't had a chance to read through it or anything, but the reason I don't like addiction is because it implies an inability to control, an inability to that it's a medical thing, and I don't think it's a medical thing. I think it's an engagement thing. I think it's an attentional thing. I think it's related to some of the other things that he talks about. But when most people talk about addiction, there's a model in their mind about what an addiction is. That, okay, if they don't have their iPhone, they're going to start getting the shakes and they're going to go through DTs and all that kind of stuff.
That's what my article's about.
And I think that there are those kids who, again, have some of the issues that he talks about. Bingo. But I don't know that I don't like using the word addiction because it puts an image in the parent's mind or in some people's minds of it being a particular way, and I think that's I don't think that we should think about it that way.
I do, but like addiction of any type, is it a true addiction?
Right.
And for some kids, it is. Mm-hmm. For most, it isn't. So please don't treat it like an addiction.
Right.
Okay, and I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
But probably little else.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
post it.
Little wooden toy.
Post it.
So he talks about the first thing being addiction, that the kids
Right.
get so connected to it that they can't be without it.
That's right. They can't separate from it because they have found it to be so engaging and so stimulating and so necessary that they do become physiologically addicted.
Right. But to me, the issue with that is the second thing.
Okay.
What is boredom. Kids can't deal with boredom. And I think that's why I think it's not addiction.
That's a larger...
we don't know how to deal with boredom. We don't know how to deal with downtime. We have to be constantly engaged. And so because of that, we are driven to it. It's not an addiction per se. It's that we can't deal with boredom.
We've talked about this before, and we're going to be doing some more work with this. Boredom is a motivator. Mm-hmm. Okay, when your parents panic when their kid, I'm bored. That's not a call or a reason for a parent to spring into action.
Right.
Okay, if a child is bored, that's a good thing because it should motivate them to do something.
Right.
Okay. Now the something should be productive, non-interfering. It shouldn't be I'm going to torture my mother because I'm bored. Okay, you can't let that happen. But boredom is okay.
Right.
Because boredom will motivate.
Right.
These kids who have been, what this guy is saying is that these kids who have been incessantly, constantly, continually entertained can't tolerate boredom. And therefore they can't use it as a motivator. They want to be constantly they want external stimulation from the games or the devices, and they don't know how to manage their own boredom.
Right. I have a kid that I work with who, if you saw him most of the time, someone would use the word addiction with him on video games. I mean, he is constantly there. However, if the opportunity to go outside and ride his bike or to go out and wander around a little bit is present, he can go for hours without being plugged in.
That's good.
If he's not out there, he has to be on it.
Right.
But if he can get out there, and so that's, again, that goes back to, that's case 2, where we're going to argue against the idea of addiction, or I'm going to argue against the idea of addiction, because he would look, I mean, I think anyone would call him addicted unless you knew that other piece about him.
And the other thing, the argument against...
And he just can't be bored, that's what it is.
Right,
He can't be bored.
That's what it is. They can't tolerate boredom.
Right.
And they don't have the ability to entertain themselves.
Right,
okay?
right.
But, the case against addiction, when you do take the phone away from a child, like I have we have friends, and they were out on a fishing trip, and the son dropped his phone into the ocean or the lake or something. So he was without a phone for some time. But he survived, and he didn't have DTs, and he didn't have withdrawal. he got over it. We have many kids whose parents take their phones for weeks or months at a time. They don't go through withdrawal that you do when you have a drug
They complain.
They kvetch. Both directions.
That's a callback.
Right. Is that what that's called?
Yeah. What?
What is Thursday again?
Throwback
Thursday.
Yeah.
God.
So, but you're right. But it's
So you're in that regard, it's not addiction.
right, right. So the second thing that he talks about is that inability to deal with boredom.
And third,
the third thing is that kids lose initiative.
That's right.
They become unable to initiate or to get started or to explore things.
And we were sort of laughing about this the other day. You'll often hear parents say, well, when I was little, we went outside and we made things up and we built go-karts and we built, motorized bicycles and we entertained because you didn't have anything else to do.
Because you had access to those things. How many parents today would never give their kid access to a motor? Right?
Yeah, my brother put a motor on a bicycle frame. Lawnmower motor on a bicycle frame.
I was just going to say, there is not a parent that I know of who would let an 8, a 9,
and he was
maybe even a 13-year-old
No, he was young.
Take apart a lawnmower.
They moved to Florida when he was 12 or 13, and he built this thing up north. So he had to be about 11 or 12. And he put a lawnmower motor on a bicycle and rode it all over the place.
Right.
We don't even know where he went with that thing.
Right.
Because he would take off and be gone for hours.
Be fantastic.
Burn his legs on it.
Yeah. But
Parents
parents allowed their kids to do things back then that we just don't now.
Right.
And so is that the parents' fault? Perhaps. But it's what society is now.
Now, how many parents would let their kids build a cart with wooden boxes and wheels and everything, and ride down a hill?
Right.
No helmet.
Yeah.
No pads.
Well, wait a minute. You mean that he would have to use a saw? No way.
That's right. They'd use a saw and hammers and.
No, we'd never let them do that. Right. So we complain that they're losing initiative. That said, I heard this wonderful argument that kids are just as creative and just as ingenious. Changed it. Ingenious today as they were before, but they're doing it in a different medium. Because when you have games like Minecraft and Roblox and things like that, where they are building entire worlds.
Culture, right. Worlds,
they're building buildings, they're making different... That is just as creative and just as ingenious as what we used to do when we had to use hammers and saws.
Use wooden boxes and
that's right.
The rest of that
They use pickaxes.
we
didn't get to use those.
Oh my gosh.
So the third thing is that this complaint that kids lose initiative, and I think it's true in some cases, but it's depending on how you're looking at it, because they lose initiative with things outside of the technology.
And I will tell you, having lived in both worlds, when I was younger. Go ahead, smirk. When I was younger,
wooden toys.
There was nothing to do inside.
Mm-hmm. Right. It was hot inside because there was no air conditioning.
It was hot. You had one TV that got 3 channels. If you were in,
I didn't say anything.
I know, but that's how that looked. If you were inside, there was absolutely nothing to do. So you went outside because that's where stuff was. I mean, things grew outside and kids were outside because there was absolutely nothing to do inside.
Right.
We went to school because there was nothing to do at home. Today, that's entirely different.
Right.
Everything is happening inside today. So, no, kids aren't going outside and I'll tell you what, if I grew up in today's world, I wouldn't have been going outside because there's nothing outside, it's all inside.
Right.
Okay, so don't struggle as parents, don't struggle too hard about your kids not going outside to play because you wouldn't have either if everything was inside.
Right.
You went outside because they were bored inside.
Right. Now, the next thing is patience, that the kids lose patience. And that is, I think, very true.
Yeah, that goes with the boredom thing, is that they're just not patient.
I don't think that's just an issue of technology, though.
No.
That's it. I think that adults are now impatient.
I think everybody is.
We are losing the ability to exercise delayed gratification.
Yeah,
we want it right now.
That's right.
And how many times have you clicked on a website and it takes 10 seconds to load up and you start getting, what is taking this thing so long?
In our practice, Dr. Berney is the IT specialist too. Besides being handsome and smart, he's also our IT guy. And he complains to all of us because we all press the key too many times. And you've said you said, you're just like...
We have those here who...
Because we're impatient.
All I hear is... What are you doing? Just click it. And then all of a sudden, like, all these windows pop up, like, eventually it's like... And then you go play. Why is that happening?
Oh, you're just like so-and-so.
You just have to...
Yeah,
just click it once.
Just click it once. But we're impatient. You hit a button, you want it to pop up immediately.
Yeah. So you...
And now I find myself telling my kids that because they'll say this, and I said, just be patient. Be patient. I learned that from you. Quit clicking that button.
Man.
It's not going to make it...
It doesn't make it go any faster. It really doesn't. Just give it a second.
Goodness gracious.
So, but we are losing patience. But it's kids, it's adults, it's everybody is losing patience.
Yeah, because we talk about children's church.
Right.
You know, we didn't have children's church. We had to sit and behave.
Right.
We had to learn patience.
Right.
You know, we had to learn. We had to sit here for an hour, whether we wanted to or not. We had to sit here and over time, you learn how to be patient.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now we have children's church, which is entertaining. You don't have to learn patience. You get entertained.
Yeah. So now the last thing that he talks about is the need the immediate entertainment. What? What?
I'm gonna get.
So,
Just give me a minute. Go ahead. Keep talking.
So he said in the paper, which is a good line, he says, children whose parents ensure that they are immediately entertained may have a harder time developing respect for others.
That's right.
So again, when you sort of combine that, the problems with delayed gratification, the problems with patience, along with that sort of detached absence of direct interpersonal engagement, then you get problems with respect.
We experience that in my house all the time. I'll be in the middle of, and I'm sure that all parents do, I'll be in the middle of preparing a meal, and my teenage daughter will say, oh, I need you to do my FAFSA form, or I need you. And it hasn't clicked yet as to why I can't simply stop what I'm doing and go take care of her.
Right.
The ability to wait for others. When parents say, honey, I'll be with you in a minute, you have to wait 5 minutes.
Right.
And they're losing.
Yeah.
They're losing that ability because they've gotten used to immediate gratification.
Right, absolutely. So, but those are the 5 things.
Yeah, be careful. You know, the American Academy of Pediatrics has said, before age 2, be very, very careful. Don't keep entertaining your kids with these devices because it's not going to end well.
Right. Yeah, you have to balance the time that they're spending on engaged, plugged in, with time that they're unplugged.
That's right. If you're in our book, we talk about attention. Several of the chapters are devoted to how to attend to your children. Being in the same room with your children and each of you on a device is not being with your children.
Right.
Okay. I would suggest that you need to turn everything off if you're going to be with your children.
Right.
Give them your undivided attention.
Right.
And make them give you their undivided attention.
Right. Yeah,
it's a process they have to learn.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, that is it for today. So,
thanks for putting up with me on that one.
I'll try.
Okay.
I have patience. So, until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, and forget to be afraid.